Now to present today's webinar, the second webinar. The lockdown, which has been there for over 5 months, is still continuing in many parts of the country with restricted movements. A large part of the population is still very cautious with most activities like shopping in mall, traveling, eating out, going out to the cinema halls. All of it is running in a very restricted manner. Moving forward in the new normal, we have to follow social distancing. Our topic for today's webinar is physically distant, socially close. To discuss the topic, we have some top women leaders who will share their insights. Let me quickly introduce our panelists. Joining us from Toronto is Chanda Das, who will be moderating the session. Chanda Das is AVP International Business Strategy at Collexet. She oversees the company's international growth markets and also leads the training function. She has over a decade of experience in account management and strategy, building experiences in consulting clients and steering them towards their growth objectives. Divya Dikshit, Senior Vice President. Am I not audible? Am I not clear? Can you guys hear me?
You're audible. Yes,
audible?
yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So I'll go back to introducing Divya Dikshit again. So Divya Dikshit, Senior Vice President Marketing, Direct Revenue and Analytics at Alt Balaji. Currently heading global marketing operations under the Alt Balaji umbrella. Divya brings with her 2 decades of experience in marketing and brand building across industries. Rubina Singh, CEO, iProspect India. With almost 2 decades of experience, Rubina has developed expertise and an enviable track record across digital, print, and broadcasting. Somashri Bose Avasti, Head of Marketing, Godrej Consumer Products. Currently, she's leading the marketing function for brands Synthol, Air, Protect, handling right from the new product development to communication development across mainline and online media. Swati Maliwal, Chairperson, Delhi Commission for Delhi. Swati is an Indian activist and politician. She is the current chairperson of Delhi Commission for Women. She is the youngest to be held esteemed. She's the youngest to hold this esteemed post. Without taking any more of your time, Chanda, over to you. I think she's unable to log in. So just give me a minute. I'll ask Swati to log in.
Sure. Thank you, Vijaya. Panelists, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, yes.
Just wanted to make sure it's 6:37 here in Toronto. Super early morning for me, but I am geared up for a great start. Thank you so much for making the time today. It's a topic very close to my heart, physically distant, yet socially close, right? From just working to working with empathy, to managing burnout, to assimilating shifting industry preferences, this is the new normal. And it was so exhaustively covered in the previous webinar. We heard some esteemed panelists in the same, and we got some wonderful insights from them. In the next few minutes, we are going to now hear from another wonderful set of panelists and wonderful women on what has piqued their interests, what has made them follow their passions, what has made them inspire entire ecosystems to act. They are the leaders of today, and I will, without further ado, straight take this question first to Rubina. Rubina, this, as cliche as it may sound, we have often heard the analogy of a ship, right? We say we judge our ship's crew performance not by how it sails in calm, but in rough waters. Rubina, straight to you. What are those rough waters for you, for your industry?
Well, if I look at it, it's been a rough time for the overall industry and with iProspect and in the advertising and marketing industry. So the total consumer spending in India, like we know, has dropped about 40% between March and June as compared to last year, same time. And as an impact of that, the media sector has been hit significantly as well by this dip in sentiment and economic activity. And things are not expected to recover, at least in this financial year. And next year as well, at best, it could be flat. And digital marketing too was impacted in the initial 2 months of the pandemic. However, while the overall spends we expect may be lower this year, the pandemic has actually accelerated the movement of spends in the favor of digital faster than ever before. So digital is actually expected to gain at least 7 to 10% even this year, this financial year, and at the expense of print, television, and events. During the last, during almost the 2-3 months long lockdown, many first-time consumers adopted digital commerce channels for their daily needs, such as grocery. And I believe that even going forward, these digital interactions will remain sticky, and will gain again at the expense of offline commerce and physical stores, because consumers are still hunkered down at home to avoid contracting the coronavirus, and are turning to online shopping for products that they traditionally bought in stores. And this has begun to provide online retailers better returns for their digital ads and boosting digital marketing expenditures. Apart from this, also most events such as the one we are in currently, or the other B2B events, fairs, conferences, workshops, trade shows, scheduled for the second half of 2020 have been cancelled, or will be in virtual rather. And I think even in the future, similar events, plans for even early part of next year are pretty much in the limbo. At the same time, digital consumption of content, and Divya will agree with this, has grown tremendously in these times. Consumers are spending their time on digitals. And with marketers seeking avenues to continue to build their brands and generate the required leads and sales, digital actually provides a unique opportunity to them. So despite reduced marketing budgets due to the spread of COVID-19, digital marketing will grow, and in fact, I think will grow faster than what we had ever expected.
Wonderful. Rubina, that was such an optimistic trend and such a good start. I'm glad we started with you. But let's quickly shift gears and come to you, Somashri. Somashri, is the FMCG industry going through a roller coaster?
Yes, of course. But you have to be fortunate to be in the part of the industry that I am, because with COVID and the current situation where health and hygiene is becoming extremely critical, and consumers have also started switching to healthier options, switching to taking care of their own hygiene. The kind of product categories that have evolved in the last few months, I mean, things that we thought that, things like fruits and veggie washes, etc. Nobody would have thought that Indian consumers would use them so much in such high quantity, while, we thought it was only a Western phenomenon. And those habits are, sort of going up. Unbranded items are going into branded. Consumers are moving towards more branded products. So a lot of those changes are happening, and I'm being a part of Godrej Consumer Products, where a huge part of the portfolio is around health and hygiene. Maybe, I would be counting my blessings to that extent. There has been a huge shift that we are seeing. Like Rubina just mentioned, that, consumer choice of entertainment has really moved. What I'm seeing over here is that even their choice of channels have shifted from the people who were going and purchasing their own choice of products from modern trade, etc. Even the neighborhood kirana. Suddenly, the neighborhood kirana is something that has become all the more important for them. And of course, the e-commerce. So overall, there is a whole shift that you are seeing in terms of the brand consumers are using, in terms of the products they have started using, which they were never using before, and in terms of even the sources of entertainment moving from, because television, suddenly they stopped airing original content and they started airing repeat content, and people shifted to digital. Now, even when the original content is starting to come back, how much of that habit of digital will stick, like Rubina again said? It's very interesting phase, I would say. It's a real roller coaster ride for a lot of us to understand consumer shifts, and to even predict how much of this shift will continue once things come back to normal. So what is that new normal going to be? It's an interesting ride right now. So we are all riding that wave, and in the best possible way, trying to navigate by launching innovations. And as a company, I know that we have launched at least 40 new SKUs, products, during this phase. Now, this is another interesting thing that we could earlier the innovation cycle used to be so huge. We used to, a new product would take like 1.5 years to come, and now within 3 months we have launched so many new products, and we are working at such a huge distance. There is no physical contact that we are having with our own teams, etc. We are not even close together, but we are doing things much faster. Agility is defining the way of business. So a lot is happening. Yes, it's a great time to be and learn.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sri. You touched upon consumer preferences in such a nice fashion. You also mentioned entertainment, OTT as an industry. Divya, we would love to get some strong insights from you, knowing that you are a stalwart in this industry all by yourself. Tell us, since the last few months, consumer preferences have taken complete 360-degree transformation, right? How is your industry coping with this flux around you?
So, sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes, Divya.
Yes, okay.
We can.
So, I don't know. I've been in digital for about 4 years now, 5 years now. All of a sudden, OTT has become the rising industry, and everybody wants to talk about OTT. Everybody wants to be a part of OTT. Even people from broadcast want to move to OTT. I don't think OTT is serving. Honestly, I mean, if I was to be brutal, I don't think OTT has done anything very, very. How do I call it? Disruptive, right? All we have done is we've freed the people from the tyranny of television. So no longer do you have to wait for 24 hours for that one episode to play out for 24 minutes in a half-hour slot and be told कि अब अगले दिन 9 बजे आना, and then you get to see what happens again, right? So only thing digital has actually done is opened up two avenues. A, they have told people that you can watch when you want, what you want, however much you want, right? So I can binge on 2 episodes, 8 episodes, my choice. It's a consumer choice. It's a consumer adaptation being driven by that choice. Also, the fact that because there are no, how do I say, written rules for digital, and there's this intense segmentation that can be done in OTT space, right? So I can create a thriller and target my male audience. I can create a youth show and target my youth audience. I can even discriminate it by saying this kind of a youth show, because it's more urban, it has a more Riverdale or, that style of appealing. This will be more urban youth. And this, which is a Virgin Bhaskar, which is more, UP, Dehati, Hindi, Heartland, this is going to be more, how do I say, hinterlands youth, right? These are the two powers that OTT has utilized and leveraged: unique narratives and consumer convenience. The main challenge in OTT lies, which still OTTs of India are struggling with. Abroad, it's a norm. You pay for OTT. A consumer pays for OTT. It's a norm abroad. You go globally anywhere, and because we are a global app, people are willing to pay without any thought process. It's the Indian mindset that we are slowly trying to change. And we have. 4 years ago, when I started my journey here, SVOD business used to be 5% of it. Today, we stand at almost 28% of the business pie. And that's growing because I think more and more top OTT players are realizing that if you want to drive your business model via AVOD, that's really not a sustainable business model. You have to have the consumer see value in the product and pay for it. Till you do that, your business model won't be sustainable. So currently, that's where I believe at OTT we are with 40 plus OTT players. I think it's ripe now for a lot of takeovers, mergers, aggregation, because, an average consumer does not sort of download more than 2.5 OTT apps. It's a given. There's an extensive research by Google and McKinsey on the subject. So yeah, that's where we are as OTT industry. It's interesting with the geoification and the digitization that Bharat Sarkar has taken up. I think it should take us places.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for those insights, Divya. Yes, I mean, OTT as a space has gone multifold in the years to come. We are supposed to be projected by ET to be, the 8th largest consumer of being the top OTT players, and we will overtake South Korea. That to me is a huge benchmark to go for. So thank you for that, Divya. Everyone, the picture is not as rosy as it might be from an industry perspective for every industry that is in the mainstream today. I now shift gears to talk to Swati up and close. Swati, and that's why I started with that pretext that not everything is rosy around us, right? There are challenges that we are talking about. The world is at a standstill. Economies have been brought to their knees. But honestly, you haven't stopped rescuing girls and women in need during these difficult times. You have remained steadfast in your pursuit for female empowerment. I sit all the way in Toronto, and I'm still so inclined to the cause of women in India. Tell us, how do you win this game that has no finite rules of play? COVID or no COVID? How is it on the ground for you?
Hi, firstly, I think it's very interesting that while the entire world is at a standstill, while the entire economies are crumbling right now, the economy of trafficking, the crime of trafficking, I think is really increasing. It is not as if the trafficking has come to a standstill. And if trafficking is increasing, then role of Delhi Commission for Women, people like us, actually goes even more far. We have to work even much more in order to be able to somehow tackle this issue. Uh, when you're talking about rescuing, in fact, few days back, sorry, I'm so sorry. In fact, a few days back, we did conduct a rescue. There was a 2.5-month-old girl whom we rescued from being sold after 5 times within a short span of 2.5 months itself, while she was immediately after she was born. So it's not just about the 2.5-month-old girl, or about a 6-year-old girl, or about so many rescues that the Delhi Commission for Women is doing, because on a daily basis, girls are being trafficked across the country, in Delhi, in the capital, and the Delhi Commission for Women, we get several complaints, and we have to somehow make these things work. So while the entire country, while the economies across the world, they are crumbling, we unfortunately or fortunately have to keep that work going on. I would like to brief you a bit about the Delhi Commission for Women. In the past 3 years, we've handled around 55,000 cases. We've heard about 2.15 lakh calls on our 181 helpline. We have done around 70,000 visits, over 11,000 counseling sessions, and we are the only commission that actually functions in the country even on Saturdays. This, when the previous commission in 8 years had handled only 1 case. So we have tried to expand and create a system in the capital, at least, where whenever we get a trafficking report, whenever we get a complaint, whenever we understand that some child has gone missing, we put our work on the ground, we put our counselors on the ground, and in fact, I myself go to many of these rescues, and we are doing a lot of rescues in this regard. So, but unfortunately, it feels really bad that on one end, we are having COVID, on one end, the entire world is crumbling, and so many problems are happening. The problem of trafficking, in fact, is actually increasing. And that is why we have to go on, and that is why we have to keep the work on.
Right, Swati.
At great risks to ourselves and as well as our entire team. There are, as I'm speaking, there are several team members of my commission who have actually contracted COVID because they were on the ground, because they were working. I don't know if I am COVID positive or not, because while we are working 24/7, I don't I don't have symptoms, but I'm not very sure whether even I'm COVID positive or not. So things are in a turmoil. But that said, we have to continue and we have to keep the work going.
Right. Right. Thank you for that, Swati. My heart goes out to you, and thank you so much for everything you do. Like in in the previous panel, Anita was talking about this adversity, coping up, starting to be an advantage for most of us. Unfortunately, not all, but we will get there. And that's, I know there is light at the end of the tunnel. We are still just in a very dark tunnel right now. So I can just move quickly and segue to my next question here. Rubina, this is where I wanted to ask you. I mean, we have seen changing trends. We have seen resistance from organizations moving from the recoup mode, right, to the growth mode. And now I know you told us some nice optimistic trends in the first question, but tell me, up and close in your organizations, how are your teams, your organizations coping with this change from recoup to growth?
I think the pandemic has, made all of us very resilient and adaptive. It's actually given us no choice but to be like that, right? Let me talk about the way of working with us and many other organizations. Like all of us, many of us were always equipped with employees working from home to, ensure business continuity. But the current crisis has forced all of us to embrace work at home, at scale, and changed our perspective quite a bit. There were traditional working habits which I feel were very hard to break, and some business leaders in the beginning, they were fearful that implementing flexibility into the organization will just jeopardize high performance. But I think all of us over a period of time, have realized that managing, a team working from home just requires managers to double down on the fundamentals of good management, which includes, establishing clear goals, communicating effectively, and leveraging team and individual, you know, uh, the team strength in individuals and the collective strength. And to I think what we follow within our organization is currently that we're to manage remote teams successfully. Uh, we are setting very clear deliverables and specific metrics to enable our teams to track outcomes and measure results effectively. This way, team members are aware of the expectations and their performance can also be monitored. And like I said before, I think communication has become all the more important when teams are fragmented, working from different locations. And also, there has to be a slight process with it. So in the beginning, it was all chaotic. We were all trying to learn along with it. But we've realized over these past 5 months that adding some processes, like having a daily huddle, like me and my DRs, every day without exception in these past 5.5 months, have a 15-minute huddle. It helps us foster, productivity, be transparent with each other, and also collaborate better. And it also holds everybody accountable for their daily tasks and ongoing projects. Well, that is one side of, kind of making sure that the business runs smoothly. Apart from that, informal group check-ins regularly keep people motivated and on the same page. And I think as a manager, what I've learned is that, you have to show that you're supportive of the success by inquiring to help people achieve their goals rather than check on their progress and how they're doing on their numbers. Because initially, that's the feedback we got, that people were not liking that. It was almost like you were trying to find out what they're doing at home. But instead, we realized we had to change our approach and style with that. And I think most important, the change that I have seen is all of us as leaders have learned to lead with much more patience, empathy, and compassion. We are beginning to understand and accept the work from home obstacles. Shifting from a co-located office to a work from home environment isn't simple at any point in time, even in the best of times. But it's, we are becoming mindful now that team members will be juggling between family and personal obligations, especially when they're relying on help for childcare, food, cleaning, etc., and which is not available these days. In addition to those distractions, there's a physical element to the issue as well. Not everyone has a home environment which is conducive for work. Whether they're in a small apartment or living with families, or they're just sharing apartments with other roommates, which suddenly becomes crowded at home. And these are just a few examples. But I think over a period of time, as time is progressing, I believe leaders and organizations are becoming far more empathetic towards teams.
You touch upon such a fantastic point, empathy. Divya, I'll straight come to you. Is empathy equating to effective output for you as well?
So you empathize. Empathy is a good thing to have, I think, honestly. I mean, I have been brought up in a very conservative, in a very straight, jacked household, with a very average middle class parentage, mother, lecturer, father, a government servant. And, we were pulled up, we were also praised, we were also loved. So for us, all the emotions happened. The business that I work in, OTT, demands young people. Okay, we prefer to work with young people for the simple reason that they are aware of the current trends, whether it's creatives, whether it's social, whether it's PR, whether it's performance marketing teams, whether it's analytics team. Because I think they're able to, below 30, 35 is the kind of a age bracket we like to work with for the teams on ground, because they are in touch with today's generation, which is all the more so on digital, right? There is a syndrome, I call it, and I think I have a 15-year-old daughter. I try very hard that she also doesn't get it, which is called the entitlement syndrome. I have seen. I deserve it. Okay, fair, but for what? So, what have you done to deserve this? While we were being brought up, and I talk about all of us as a generation, uh, we were asked, yes, you need it, you will get it, but what do you think you have done to deserve this, right? And you shall have it. Justify, explain. I see that missing a little bit. So I think this empathy question should just not be from top down. This empathy question needs to work both ways, from down below to top, right? You cannot all the time be asking for entitlements, because you know what? It's a job. You've come here, you've signed up for this. So while nobody is unnecessarily forcing you, you at least need to deliver what you have signed up for, right? I do a work from home. I get up at 7 in the morning to cook, clean, do everything, and be free and sit in front of my laptop at 10. And then I work nonstop, right? I'm not looking for anything. I signed up for this, right? So the same way, while my team knows they can call me at any point of time, and they constantly call me, and they discuss personal issues and everything, and they know that when it's the right moment, Divya will give them everything. Divya will say, no, you know what, take it easy, don't stress yourself out so much. What I'm against is the sense of entitlement. I don't think that's fair, because by raising our kids to have that sense of entitlement, we're not preparing them for the future. Because the world is not going to be available on a platter. You have to fight for things. You have to make them available, right? You have to work for it. So, as a team, yes, we've been working from home. I think our organization has been extremely sorted that way. They have not asked us to, restart work from the office. Uh, we continue working from home. The team is doing a fantastic job, I think, of working from home. Each one of my kids, because I empowered them, is responsible. I don't even honestly have team meetings every morning. I prefer to do my team meetings every third day, because that they know what they have to do. Every third day they come back and tell me, hey, this is what has happened. This is where I'm stuck. Divya, I need you to jump in now. It also, what happens is when I leave it to them, they are also trying to find a solution themselves and sort of solve things rather than escalating everything upward and saying, Divya, solve this for me. I think it works well that way. What it also does is it helps them grow professionally, right? I don't go to my boss probably more than twice a month. I don't, because I believe at my leadership level, if I'm not able to solve things, if I'm not able to handle situations, then probably I don't deserve the position. That's what I feel, right? Because that's why the management hired me. Solve things, Divya. Make people come together, get the work accomplished. much, right? So the conversations that I'll have with my boss probably will be twice a month on an issue that I'm stuck on. Otherwise, all is good. If he needs an update, he'll reach out to me. And I'm now trying to inculcate utilizing this work from home time period. The same in my teams. Every 3 days, come back to me. Otherwise, they are on calls, WhatsApp with me constantly. So our empathy is that stay happy, stay, safe, be at home, work from home. You need me, reach out to me. I will talk to you. I will help you solve things. My job is to facilitate their work. I try to do that. My job is not to go down on the ground, pick up my shovel and start shoveling everything, because I can't. I today head a revenue, analytics, and marketing. I possibly can't do a job that 30 people together do, right? So I think at our level, the empathy is facilitate their work as much as you can, be there for them at every step, solve issues for them, and empower them. Because when you empower them to take small decisions, then they know they don't have to call you for every little thing. I actually turn around and tell my team, why are you calling me for such a minor issue? You want to give 10,000 rupees ka, voucher? Please feel free, just send me a mail, I'll approve it. Or, an actor is asking for a costume designer. How much is it? Please take a call, close it, take my approval, move ahead. It facilitates work faster. Teams are empowered, right? And they know their budgets. So you set a goal, you set a field, and let them be. I think
Absolutely.
that's empathy.
Absolutely. Wonderfully touched. I think empathy has been a favorite topic, but this is a new aspect of it. The bottoms up and the tops down together. I mean, for everybody who's listening, I'm sure you're leaders, I'm sure you're managing people, but I'm sure you're being led as well. So empathy is both ways. Very well spoken about, Divya. Divya, also though, empathy kind of touches on the trust factor, Somashri. I'm expecting a nod from you because I'm coming to you next. Talk to us about the T factor. How are we trusted from behind a computer, and how do we trust from behind a computer?
That's a really interesting piece. Very honestly, trust is something that, again, I'll take the example of my industry, because FMCG industry is all about trust. The consumers have to trust you, and your team obviously has to trust you. Honestly, I feel that being in marketing, it's not that difficult, very honestly, because it's the team that you have been working so closely with, that now that even if there is a bit of a, distance, it doesn't really matter. But of course, there are things like, earlier we are used to a system where we had maids, etc., helping us out with the homework, etc. And now you have to just empathize with them, with the fact that, it's not just the office work they're taking care of, they're also taking care of the housework. So empathy at that level really works. So actually, I kind of agree with everything that Rubina says, which is have a lot of empathy, understand what they're going through, and help out. And also the fact that I think Divya mentioned that, empower your team. So that earlier what used to happen is, it used to be just people jumping into your cubicle that, hey, there is this thing that has happened. How do you solve it? And immediately give an answer over there. Now the situation is that your time, your multitasking time that you could sort of do in office has gone. You're not able to multitask really, because at a time you are just having that one meeting. So I realized that the good thing that has happened is that I'm focused on that one meeting, while earlier it was juggling between 2-3 things. But I mean, it's all about sort of my mantra, I would say, has been more about empowering and empathy. Coming back to trust, really, I think what I have seen, and as I said, it's not so applicable in my department because we are used to this kind of thing. What I've seen is how we, as an organization, Godrej is handling it for our supply chain and sales team. Trust me, in our kind of industry, they are the ones who are at the maximum risk, because they are the ones who have to go to the factory. even if you follow all the government rules and regulations, etc., still that guy has it in his mind that, my boss is asking me from head office to produce X amount of units today. How do I trust that boss sitting over there? He's finally in the safe cocoon of his home and asking me to deliver something over here where I am exposed to the danger, right? And that is where the trust becomes so much more important. And same for the sales people down the line, because they are the ones who are going out to the retail outlets. They are the ones going out to the modern trade outlets, taking orders, delivering the stock, etc. They are the ones who need to trust their bosses, who are actually sitting possibly coming to market once or twice or so, but broadly they are sitting on the laptop and asking them, today have you done this target and all. The trust really is very, very important over there. So how we are handling it is, we are clearly aiding them with all sorts of help that we can. For example, especially the people down the line where we know that affordability is a problem, we actually have given out packages wherein they can buy all the protection kit for themselves. We have given out health advisories to them. We have specific allowances just in case they have, they sort of contract the disease. We have special allowances which has been announced. There are insurance policies which have been announced and literally no questions asked. Apart from that, Godrej as an organization, we anyway have unlimited sickness leaves. So if you are ill, there is no limit to the number of days that you can take off. Just that beyond a certain, I believe it's about 3 to 4 days or so. Beyond that, you just have to give a doctor's certificate that, prescription that you have been ill. Otherwise, so for us, it is something that COVID or no COVID, there has always been that trust which the organization has sort of had in the employees and given us those unlimited sickness leaves, etc. and all. And our data internally showed that when you gave that trust, people started taking less number of leaves. And that data is there. Yes, the moment you trust, people give it back to you. So that is there. But due to COVID, there are these down the line people who really need help. Organization has really, really taken care. So I think that not only encourages them a lot, it just tells them that they are in the right place. And at this time, that's more meaningful than anything else. Because, and of course, we have not had any kind of job cuts, pay cuts, etc. and all. And so it has been, the trust has been shown by the organization at every step, and people have really risen to the occasion and delivered. So I think it works really both ways. You're on mute, Chanda. Chanda, you are on mute.
I wanted to, and thank you for that. I wanted to follow up and ask on what Rubina had mentioned. Remember when she was saying, we have been using some fun words on the panel today. And every time I hear a fun word, I'm like, yes, that's my question. But Somashri, you covered it well already. You talked about, Rubina was mentioning resilience, right? And you were talking empathy. Empathy, bottoms up, tops down, resilience from the leadership level. So you with me when you say resilience and leadership is not an elusive combination. You can still be resilient and you can still be a leader. So Somashri?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. In fact, I think resilience is a quality of leadership, and now more so than any time before. Because also the team now sees you. You are the only person who are communicating to the team. Because when it was the regular office, they used to communicate and get to see what's going around in the office and gauge what's happening and what is the sentiment. Today, you're the only person who is communicating to the team, whether it's good, bad, ugly. You're the only lens they are looking at. Absolutely. So unless as a leader, you are resilient to the stress, you'll pass it on. And that's the worst thing you can do. And I mean, that anyway is a definite leadership trait you should have. And today more than anything else, because that line of communication has suddenly narrowed to only that immediate leader more than ever before.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the going has got tougher, in my words, right? So Divya, straight to you. When the going has gotten tougher, has the tough got going for you?
Of course. So I think my team has risen up to this occasion so beautifully. I don't think I've had a single issue or trust issue with my team. I know that my team is there. I know that if I tell them, guys, I'm sorry, I'm disturbing you late in the night, but this needs to be turned around. I have no clue. I'm at my wits' end what to do. They have solved it for me. So I think, yes, more than me, it's them who have got going. They have made us proud of the fact that they're young kids, but they have done it so beautifully. I'm absolutely proud of them. And for us, honestly, for OTT, it's been an overdose of work. So it's not that, honestly, for us, unfortunately, it's a little bit of a different situation because people were at home, people were subscribing more. We've seen almost 60% rise in subscriptions. There's been a huge depth in terms of the consumer watch time and spend. So for us, Tough Get Going was actually the other way around, where we were overdosed with work. We still are, because earlier we were pushing library to get the subscriptions going. Now we've got multiple show launches happening every day. So we are fighting and drowning in that work. The beautiful part is that these girls and boys who work with us have sort of managed to balance work life and home life well. And I'm quite surprised at that, which is exactly why I say that, in each team, you will have such gems who will rise to the occasion. I think my entire team has risen to the occasion. Beautiful.
So nicely talked about being entrusted, being feeling the need and the cherishing the fact that you are entitled. So well covered. Talked about the trust factor. I want to move to you, Rubina, and talk about something that our panel one talked in length about. I'm so glad they got a lot of time to talk about it as they compare to us, because we have been talking, it seems, as if we have been talking of the more serious matters here now. But very, very close to both Neil, the moderator for the previous panel, and me, we kept talking about this. We wanted to ask you all esteemed panelists about the work from home situation. And I have to find the time to ask this to you, Rubina. Rubina, work from home burnout, right? Assimilating the shifting industry preferences. I know you talked in your first answer about setting up those tangible goals, setting up those expectations with your teams, and then driving them towards outcomes. Has it been easy for you? Are you folks more than happy to stay work from home, or are they ready to run back to office when they get a chance?
So, these have been very uncertain times for people, right? And like Divya said, our industry as well, we work with very young people who are not originally from the larger cities, Bombay, Gurgaon, Bangalore, where we have our offices, but have traveled from many other cities, come work there by themselves. And to be locked up in their homes all by themselves for months together was definitely not easy, right? And they were bound to feel sad, scared, stressed at different points in time. I have to be honest about this. And this could have been because of isolation, uncertainty. Initially, people took to work as a vengeance, and then they're feeling a sense of burnout. So all that has happened. That is a reality, right? But what are we doing as an organization to deal with it? I think it is, to keep the morale high of the employees. We are celebrating contributions, whether they're big or small. I just think recognizing and appreciating more than ever before the great work that is coming through is the most simple and also cost effective and direct way to boost the morale of the team.
Absolutely.
Something we are doing at a very large scale. Apart from that, we're also trying to establish close bonds, help and support as much as we can. I will still go back to my point of empathy. I think we are empathizing and appreciating their lives far more than we ever have before. Getting to know their families, getting to know their home lives, our common interests, our shared beliefs. And that is beyond work. We're getting to see their life which was beyond the office. There was a persona everybody had in office, but they also had a life at home. Today we have a sneak peek of that. And, we all of us face that. You're talking, suddenly, your child will interrupt, or you will hear the doorbell ring, and so many things, right? And we're trying to become far more human to that now. Also, I think I have to be honest, is that, as an agency, and if you understand the agency culture, we all had this tradition of fun Fridays, which really meant for us was to unwind together at the office with a few beers. It would help us create, better work relationships, lower the stress levels, because the kind of work we are in is like you're constantly on a treadmill. And that, I think helped us create a happy culture. So we definitely miss hanging out together just as a team, while we do the huddles and all that on the work front. But that is something we miss. We still connect virtually, once a month, the whole team of 200 people over drinks, chit chat, just as friends. And I have to be honest, even though it's virtual and it's not the same, but it's so good to see the people that, I actually think I spent most of my waking hours with till recently. And it's truly energizing. And, I see the impact every time we have a meeting like that, or sort of catch up like that. I see the whole halo effect and the energy and the enthusiasm, on the WhatsApp group. There's suddenly
Right.
everybody so, happy, energizing, cracking up jokes, taking pot shots at each other, and that whole camaraderie comes to life again.
Together.
Yeah.
Right.
So apart from that, also we are encouraging people now to, follow their passion, follow their hobbies, do something. And, we started a program at a company level, which we said Dance Got Talent, because we want people to take out time for their passions as well. Because as home and life is today happening from the same environment, what is happening is, the lines were blurring. People were like, Divya was saying, somebody's calling each other late nights and all of that. It was leading to burnout. So we're trying to get conscious about that and telling people, take your time off, follow your passions, do that. As an organization, we're trying to encourage that. And also, on a little bit more serious side, is the fact that we understand and acknowledge the pressure that some people are facing right now owing to this restricted environment, right? Especially people who live by themselves. Some of us have friends and family we talk to. In general, we trust them, and we look at them for advice. And at an organizational level too, we are trying to do something to help employees cope up with the stress. So, to help cope up with the stress during these times, we're conducting a wellness program where we've invited several sessions. We've conducted several sessions where we've invited sound healers, life coaches, therapists, senior industry professionals, who themselves are going through things, to be able to share their experiences and guide people through this difficult phase. So these are some of the initiatives that we are doing to keep the environment positive and the morale high of the teams.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rubina. I have started seeing questions come in, and I'm very glad that the questions that are coming in are very much aligned to what we are speaking up. But something that the participants seem to be really, really interested in knowing is some scoop about how you wonderful ladies compartmentalize your personal lives when all this at the professional level is happening. So, Mishri, I'll pass the ball to you, and then Divya will go to you, and Rubina, we will finish with you. So, Mishri.
Okay, so this is the best time that I have been able to inculcate the whole thing about leaning in on every help that I could get. Yes, I mean, this is the best time that possibly just the timely. Let's say the book was read at a very, very correct time.
Right.
Basically, what I do is that, I accept the reality that I'm not a superwoman. मैं Durga Mata नहीं हूँ, and I don't even try to, show that I'm absolutely not vulnerable. Very honestly, to my team also, if there is something where I'm totally stressed out, I'm very clear that, this is something that is bothering me, and hence we need to get this done. At home too, I ensure that, or rather, I take every help that's possible. So I think I'm really blessed to get a partner who who literally helps me in everything. I mean, be it in the kitchen or be it in, washing or anything. So I do have my partner helping out, because unfortunately we're in a situation where we don't have our maids coming, and I don't see them coming back anytime soon, very honestly, because I mean, even as I speak, two of the buildings right in front of me have been sealed because people, have contracted the disease. So one is leaning in on every possible help that you get, accept that you will not be able to do it all, and hence take every help that's there. Second is, in Godrej, there is this whole concept they have started. One is wellness hour kind of thing, which sort of happens where every week we sort of get together. But more importantly, they are asking everybody to take at least one day off. Compulsorily, please take that one day off, which I'm ensuring that my team also does, and I'm also trying my best to adhere to that. And it really helps. And honestly, I choose that one day to be right after the weekend, so it almost becomes like a longish weekend.
Long
And
weekend.
trust me, and it really helps, the 3 days off, and then you are actually ready to take on for the next 3 weeks. The other thing that I have definitely done is taken on all my, the hobbies that I had stopped. For example, music is something I used to love, but somewhere down the line, amidst office, etc., I just made an excuse of not continuing with it. But I started back on my hobbies, something that I would not have to go out for. Sorry, something that I don't have to go out for, or and I can do it while I'm staying at home. So I've started going back into my hobbies, and that's really helped me de-stress. And yes, I'm also a parent to a teenage daughter, and yes,
God
and
bless us mothers.
yes, thankfully it's a daughter, so I think they're far more empathetic. So yes, she also tries to help. By the way, that's a real surprise, but she tries to help in her own way, and I also try to, The other thing that I have realized is that initial part of my work from home, I realized that the boundary between work and office and home was blurring, and I seemed to be continuously working for those 13-14 hours without a break. And even while at home, I hardly was talking to my daughter. That finally one day she actually commented, after I think 15 days down the lockdown, she said, "Mama, you were better off in office. At least you used to come
Oh,
back from office and talk to me for an hour." And that actually really rung a bell, And thankfully it was right in
interesting.
the beginning. Yes, in the
Yeah,
beginning.
thankfully she corrected you in the beginning.
Exactly. And
Right.
so with that feedback, that's where the whole hobby part came in, wherein
Okay.
because we have a shared interest, all three of us, it really, we kind of started ensuring that we three of us do it together, whether it's music, whether it's, just general catch up over dinner or whatever. Because there were times when we started to have dinner at different times, because either husband was working or I was working. It was actually going all over the place. But thankfully, we got it back. So in summary, what I would say is, do something that you really love. It will help you de-stress. Do please take that one day off and try to create that physical, I mean, at least that mental boundary now. Physical boundary you can't, but have that mental boundary of beyond this time is my family or home time, and take all the help that you can
Fantastic.
get. Aap Ma Durga nahi ho.
Yeah, I like that all the health tips, so much. I have
Yes.
to work towards that. We end up doing everything here ourselves. And yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that is one tip I'm going to learn from. Billy, you are in the entertainment sector. Tell us more. Your passions are definitely not in sitting in front of the TV. So what helps you compartmentalize?
I can't compartmentalize, unfortunately. The sector that I am in doesn't allow me to compartmentalize. So I have been frank enough to admit, guys, at least when you're doing a Zoom call and if it's an emergency Zoom call, and if you want my video to be on, please tell me at least 10 minutes in advance. I shouldn't look like a bhungi when I come on the video call. No, so jokes apart, I typically start my day very early. I believe in starting my day very early. 7 o'clock, if I get up and I get into the kitchen when it's perfect, morning, it's not as hot. I can cook up a storm and be done with it in an hour and a half. That's breakfast and lunch taken care of, out of the way. Now people can, just be heated and served at the point of time that they want to eat. And then the next task is doing your jhadu, pocha, everything. my compartmentalization is my jhadu pocha should ideally not overlap with my Zoom calls, right? That's my compartmentalization. So that if my boss is calling me, at least he should not look at me doing jhadu pocha, you know. Other than that, typically OTT has like emergencies at about 20 a day. So I am constantly, if I'm not constantly available to my team, like Sumashri said, we're the only lens currently for them. They are working through us. I have to be constantly available. And the industry that I am in, you know, promos get cut in the middle of the night and they come to me for approval. And if I don't approve it at that point of time, they don't go live tomorrow. And, you know, it's a catastrophe. And therefore, Divya Dikshit, you have to be available. Right? It does take a toll on me at times. You know, you just get up in the morning and you say, again, another day. But I think I will say hats off to my parents. Yeah, hats off to my parents. They made me very resilient. They made me do lots of hands-on work. I think all that training is coming to help now. I have a daughter. She helps me. Husband who's a typical UP guy, so he thinks if he can do one chore a day, he's, you know, like climbed Mount Everest. But fortunately, he knows his place, so he dare not open his mouth about anything. So that also.
Rubina has been enjoying this all this while. She's laughing her heart out.
I'm being absolutely candid.
From you.
I'm being absolutely
Rubina, we need a 30-second scoop from you.
Nothing. I miss office gossip, laughing, ideas of with people, general small talk. I really miss it. I'm going to admit.
You really miss it? Okay.
You know, having said that, I think there's a positive in everything. I have a daughter as well, so I was happy to see their other mothers as well. But mine is only 7-year-old. Right. So for me, the biggest positive, looking at the brighter side of things, has been that I've never had so much time to spend with my daughter as I have in the last 5 months. I think I've spent more time with her than in the previous 6.5 years since she was born. You know, so that's the thing. And, you know, like Samshri said, you know, the most important thing that I have learned is not to let work and life blend into one. And I'm trying to dedicate a space and set our office hours, and I fiercely protect my weekends. And Divya will agree. If you look at my Instagram, you will know that from indoor camping to terrace picnics to puppet shows to date nights, I am a ball and I do that.
Wow.
So it's really important.
I was thinking you would talk more on the lines of horse riding, but you went towards puppet showing. So far beyond what I would imagine. But thank you so much. You women inspire entire ecosystems to act. We, in the process of talking to you for the last 15 minutes, have kind of answered a lot of questions that came from our panelists. There have been I've been keeping track of the questions. There are 2 questions that I haven't got a chance to reach out to, but I'll ensure that I write down an email and address those questions, and I will address them to the appropriate panelists, and we'll reach out to the audiences. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. I'm getting ready for my second cup of coffee, and I hope you take lessons from what we talked today. Take a break tonight and enjoy yourselves. Thank you so much for being the wonderful women you all are.
Thank you, Chanda. This was
so much,
fantastic.
Chanda.
This was fantastic.
Thank you so much. Coming from you guys, this means a lot.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Joya and team.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye. Bye.
Love the mantras that you shared with us.
Thank you.